Hello students, today we will be starting with part 5 of chapter number 5, that is the fundamental unit of life, cell. Yes, so in the previous classes we did studied about the structure of the cell, that is an animal cell, a plant cell. We did even see what are the main basic features of a given cell. So all the cell possesses a cell membrane, yes, nucleus and cytoplasm. So we already studied in part 4 about what do you understand by cell membrane, what is its function, how does the process of diffusion, osmosis and so on. So today we will be understanding about cell wall, nucleus and cytoplasm. Yes, so talking about the cell wall, we all know that it is present only in the, yes, it is present only in the plant cell. As you can see that the plant cell has cell membrane, but along with cell membrane it also has an outer covering which is nothing but termed to be as cell wall. So talking about the cell wall, yes. Now, the plant cell, yes, talking about the plant cell, they have the cell membrane, but along with the cell membrane, they have a rigid outer covering. So, over here, after the cell membrane, they have another covering that is nothing but the cell wall. So, talking about the cell wall, it is rigid. Rigid as in it is not flexible enough. Yes, it is not flexible as that of the cell membrane or the plasma membrane. Now, what it is actually? So, it is a rigid membrane which is not flexible enough. It gives a particular shape. It remains in a particular shape. Yes, it is non-living. Talking about the plasma membrane or the cell membrane, it is living, and talking about the cell wall, yes, so the cell membrane is living, rather the cell wall is non-living. Yes, it is the protective covering in water. It is not present in the animal cell, but yes, it is present in the plant cell, the fungal cells, yes, and some of the prokaryotic cells. Fine. So we are going to study the prokaryotes in the next part. But talking about the prokaryotic organisms, so these are the organisms which do not have very well developed nucleus. Yes, their nucleus is of primitive type, of the old type, not very well developed nucleus. So fine. So talking about the cell wall, it is present only in the plant cell. It is rigid, that it is not flexible, it is non-living, and it is a protective covering, yes, of the plant cell. And what it is made up of? It is made up of nothing but cellulose. Yes, it is made up of nothing but cellulose. Now, what is cellulose? As we have already studied in the previous classes, that is, cellulose is nothing but it is a complex form of the carbohydrate. The most complex form of the carbohydrate, that is nothing but the cellulose. So that is the cell wall we are talking about, is nothing but made up of cellulose. Fine, do you understand this? And it also has various microfibrils, various fibrils which are glued to each other. There are thousands of fibrils and thousands of cellulose molecules of which this cell wall is made up of. Fine, do you understand this? Now, there is a phenomenon which is associated with a plant cell, which is termed to be as nothing but plasmolysis. That is, lysis means breakdown, and plasma, that is the fluid content. So that is the breakdown of the fluid content of the cell. So plasmolysis, yes, so plasmolysis is nothing but a phenomenon which is associated with a plant cell. So what actually happens in plasmolysis is, when a living plant cell, yes, do you understand this? Which kind of plant cell? A living plant cell and not a dead one. So majority of the cells of the plant body are non-living because they do not perform the process of movement. Yes, and therefore they do not locomote from one place to another place, and therefore they do not require so much of energy, and therefore majority of the cells of the plant body are non-living. So this phenomenon is associated with the living cells. So whensoever a living plant cell is being kept in some solution, yes, we will talk about that. So it loses water through osmosis. So what kind of solution it is being placed into? So whensoever it is being placed into some form of hypertonic solution. With solution, hypertonic solution that we have already started. Yes, so whensoever a living plant cell is being kept into some hypertonic solution, then what will happen? Therefore the water will get out of the cell, the plant cell, and there will be contraction seen in the content of the cell which is away from the cell wall. So for example, over here this is a plant cell, as you can see. Now this plant cell, this is the cell wall, as you can see. This is nothing but the cell wall. The cell wall is associated with the cell membrane. Fine, do you understand this? This is nothing but the vacuole. This is the nucleus. Yes, and these are the other suborganelles of a plant cell. Fine. Now whensoever such a cell is being placed into a hypertonic solution that we studied in the last class, wherein the concentration of that solution of the water, the concentration of the water in that solution will be much less. Do you understand this? Yes. So if the plant cell is kept in an hypertonic solution, say, so over here the concentration of the water is less in comparison to that of the water content inside the body of the plant cell. Now therefore what is going to happen? The water is going to move out from the region of higher water concentration to the region of lower water concentration, and therein you will see that the cell membrane shrinks. Can you see this? The cell membrane which was further attached to the cell wall is going to shrink from its original position, and there will be shrinkage of the cell. Yes, as the water has moved out of the cell, and therefore there will be shrinkage of the cell membrane, and you can see that the cell wall is in its position only. It is in its own position. It has not shuffled a bit. Yes, do you understand this? But the cell membrane has shrinked as the water has moved out of the cell, and this phenomenon is termed to be as we all know, this has happened because of the process termed to be as osmosis. This has happened because of nothing but osmosis. That is the movement of the water from the region of high water concentration to the region of less water concentration. So because of osmosis, but as the water is coming out, it is termed to be as exosmosis. It is termed to be as exosmosis. Do you understand this? The water has come out, and therefore there is a shrinkage which is being seen. So there is a shrinkage of the protoplasm from the cell wall due to exosmosis in an hypertonic solution, and this phenomenon is nothing but termed to be as plasmolysis, the lysis of the protoplasm. Yes, do you understand this? The whole of the living content of the cell has shrinked. Yes, has shrinked, and it is something like this. Fine. So this is nothing. This phenomenon is termed to be as plasmolysis. Lysis as in breakdown. Plasmo, that is the plasma, the content, the fluid content. So the fluid content is nothing but the cytoplasm along with the cell membrane which has shrinked. And when does this happens? Whensoever a plant cell is kept in such with solution hyper tonic solution, which we already studied in the last class. Now tell me, what would happen if the same cell is being the shrinked cell? Yes, the shrinked shell is being kept back to a something like this. The cell wall is in its original position. This is the shrinked cell. This is the cell membrane. The cell wall is in its own position. Now what will happen if you are going to place such kind of shrunk cell or a flaccid cell in an hypotonic solution. Hypotonic solution as in wherein the concentration of water is much higher than that of the concentration of water inside the cell. So therefore, now in such a situation, the water is going to move again back from the solution inside the cell. Yes, and then on you will be able to see a turgid cell again. Yes, the cell swells up again. So do you understand the phenomenon? What is plasmolysis? So whensoever a living plant cell loses water through osmosis, which osmosis? X-osmosis, as the water is moving out, there occurs the contraction of the content of the cell away from the cell wall. So all the content moves away from the cell wall, and that is nothing but plasmolysis. Do you understand this? So what will happen? The cell will shrink, the cell will get flaccid. But again, if this cell is placed inside an hypotonic solution wherein the water concentration is more, again you will be finding the cell becomes turgid. Do you understand this? Yes. So this is the peculiar characteristics which is associated with the living part of the cell, that is the cell membrane, and therefore the cell wall doesn't move away from its own position. Do you understand this? And associated, this plasmolysis is a characteristics of all the plant cell. Fine. Do you understand this? Yes. Now, as this is termed to be as plasmolysis, similarly such a condition is termed to be as what? The opposite of that. The opposite of that as in deplasmolysis. So this is plasmolysis, that is the shrinkage. Yes, and again when such a cell is placed in an hypotonic solution where the water concentration is more, the water moves in and the cell becomes turgid again, that is it swells up again, and that phenomenon is termed to be as deplasmolysis. Fine? Yes. Now we shall understand about something more about the cell wall. Fine? So the cell wall, yes, this cell wall permits the cell of the plants, the fungi and bacteria to withstand something very important to understand, withstand very dilute solution without bursting, as in if we are talking about this plant cell, wherein what is the main important function of the cell wall is, that is it permits the cell of the plant, even the fungi cell, even the bacterial cell to withstand, yes, very dilute solution, as in the surrounding medium the solution is very dilute. Very dilute as in, we have already studied this. Dilute means what? That is, the concentration of water is much high and the concentration of the solute particles, the mixed ions or the salts or the minerals in the surrounding content is comparatively less. So the solute is less and the level of the water is comparatively very high. So such a solution is nothing but termed to be a with solution, the dilute solution. Now, as the solution is dilute, therefore it is termed to be as with solution, that is hypotonic solution. Now what will happen in such a situation is, that is, the water content is very high in the surrounding medium, therefore the water will keep on moving from the region of high water concentration to the region of low water concentration. The water is continuously going to get inside the cell. Now if the water keeps on going inside the cell, then what is going to happen? The cell is going to be filled with the fluid, yes, high amount of water, and therefore what is it going to do? It may burst because of so much of water. If a balloon has a capacity of only some water, and if we keep on filling that balloon with water, it is going to burst eventually. But the same thing over here is, if we have a thicker balloon, yes, then what it is going to do? It is going to withstand the pressure of the water inside. So similarly, when we talk of this cell wall, the water inside gives the pressure on the wall, yes, and the cell wall gives the pressure back to the water molecules. So that is, the cell wall is balancing the water pressure. The cell wall is giving equal and opposite force on the water molecules, and therefore what is happening? The cell is being prevented from bursting. It is prevented from bursting. It doesn't burst off because the water molecules are giving the pressure on the cell wall, yes, and the cell wall is in turn providing internal pressure, which is being balanced, and therefore the cell doesn't burst. So the very important function of the cell wall is withstanding, that is, controlling the higher pressure of the water, yes, when the cell has too much of water inside, or controlling the dilute solutions, yes, so that whatsoever amount of water keeps on coming, it has the capacity to a greater extent that it can withstand the pressure and doesn't burst the cell. So because of the cell wall which is present in the plant cell, as we all know, rely majoritarily for the nutrients and for transportation on water, and therefore the water movement continuously keeps on taking place in the plant body. So therefore the cells has to have some mechanism which doesn't, even though there is so much of water inside the cell, it doesn't burst, and that is nothing but the cell wall. Fine. Now so this is the same thing. The plant cell, because of the cell wall, can withstand much greater changes in the surrounding medium than that of the animal cell. Why our cell cannot have so much of cannot withstand so much of water? If we talk of, suppose, say, a red blood cell, yes, and if so, it is being kept in an hypotonic solution and the water keeps on coming inside, then after some span of time our RBC will burst off. Yes, why? Because we do not have an extra cell wall. We do not have a cell wall which is going to balance the pressure, which is going to apply equal and opposite pressure on the water molecules. Do you understand this? And therefore our cells cannot sustain the changes, greater amount of changes in the surrounding medium, and therefore we do not can have so much of water also inside our body. Yes, fine. Now hopefully cell wall has been understood to you. Yes, and now we shall be moving on to a very important part of the cell, both the cell, that is either animal cell. Yes, that is the middle part that you can see in the picture, that is nothing but the nucleus, or even the plant cell. Yes, so now we are going to study about nothing but the nucleus. Yes, it is also termed to be as the brain of the cell, also termed to be as the brain of the cell. Now, talking about the structure of the nucleus. Yes, it is basically spherical to oval in shape inside all the cells. Yes, now when you see the structure, there is a double layer covering on the nucleus, and that covering, that is the outer covering and the inner covering, that is, it is double membrane structure. So this outer membrane, which is the membrane of the cell, yes, the membrane of the cell, the boundary of the cell is termed to be a cell membrane. So similarly, the boundary of the nucleus is termed to be as nuclear membrane. It is termed to be as nuclear membrane. Fine. Now, here, inside the nuclear membrane is the fluid material in which various components are situated. So this fluid material, the white portion inside the nuclear membrane, so that is nothing but nucleoplasm. It is termed to be as the nucleoplasm. Yes, the white substance in the cell, the fluid, the semi-fluid material inside the cell. Yes, the fluid portion of the cell is termed to be a cytoplasm. Similarly, the fluid component of the nucleus is termed to be as nucleoplasm. It is termed to be as nucleoplasm. Now, you can see that, so we studied about nuclear membrane, that is the double layer covering of the nucleus. Now in the nuclear membrane, can you see some spaces? So that is nothing but the pores that the nuclear membrane have, and those pores are nothing but, the pores are termed to be as the nuclear pores. They are termed to be as the nuclear pores. So the outer covering is termed to be as the nuclear membrane. The nuclear membrane has pores which are termed to be as the nuclear pores, as you can see. Now, and the colorless dense material, if I draw something like this, that is, this is the nuclear membrane, which is double layer. Yes, it has pores which are termed to be as nuclear pores. The dense fluid inside the nucleus is nothing but nucleoplasm, and this nucleoplasm helps in maintaining the shape of the nucleus. It helps in maintaining the given shape of the nucleus as well as the structure. Yes, now inside the nucleus, can you see a circular thing? And that is nothing but nucleolus, that is in the nucleoplasm. We have a circular spherical part, that is nothing but nucleolus. It is termed to be as nucleolus. Fine, nucleolus. Now here, the nucleolus is spherical, as you can see. Yes, it is spherical. It is dense, the densest part of the that is the nucleus. When the nucleus is being stained, when it is being visualized under the microscope with the help of the electron microscope, when the nucleus has been visualized, the most dense part is nothing but the nucleolus. Now it is the place where, so it is spherical, it is the densest part of the nucleus. Now, what is its function? This nucleolus has the function of synthesis of ribosome. It synthesizes what? Ribosome, and therefore also termed to be as factory of ribosome. So from here are synthesized nothing but, as we have already studied, that is the organelle of the cell, that is ribosome. We studied about ribosomes? Yes. We will study that in detail in the next part, so in the coming part. So over here the particles that you can see are nothing but ribosomes, which are being synthesized by the nucleolus. Fine. So it is spherical, it is the densest part, and it is the factory of ribosome production. Fine. Now can you see some tangled mass of threads? Yes, something which is very tangled, the threads are mixed with each other, that is termed to be as tangled. So inside the nucleoplasm we have nucleolus and some thread like materials, and this thread like material inside the nucleoplasm or the nucleus is nothing but chromatin material. It is termed to be as chromatin material. So over here we shall indicate this, that is, it is termed to be as chromatin material. Fine. So the tangled mass that we can see inside the nucleus is nothing but the chromatin material. Now there is something important to study about chromatin material is, yes, we already studied that this chromosome, we studied that the nucleus has nucleolus, yes, nucleolus and chromatin material. When we talk of this chromatin material, this is a tangled mass of thread like structure. Fine. Yes, so tangled thread like structures which is being visualized in the microscope. Now during the time of cell division, when a cell divides from 1 to 2, the very first thing which divides is nothing but the chromatin material. Then during the cell division time, this chromatin material becomes thickened, they condense, that is, they become thicker. Now when they become thick, they are nothing but they seem like something like this. Or yes, so this thin thread like tangled like mass, during the time of cell division they become thicker, and in the microscope they visualize, they are seen to be like something like this. So this is nothing but what? As we all know, this is nothing but chromosomes. So over here inside our cell, how many chromosomes do we have? We have 23 pairs. We have how much? 23 pairs, that is, we have 46 chromosomes. Yes, we have 46 chromosomes in all our body cells, that is, in all the billions and trillions of cells inside our body. All of the cells have nucleus, except the RBC, which do not have the nucleus. And talking about, yes, so all the cells inside our body have 46 chromosomes except for the egg cell and the sperm cell inside our body, inside the female and the male body, which has only 23 chromosomes. Rest all the cells have 23 pairs, that is 46 chromosomes, and exception is egg cell and the sperm cells, which have only 23 chromosomes, not pairs but only 23 chromosomes. Yes, so talking about this chromosome, what is this chromosome actually? Yes, so this chromosome is nothing but it has what? The chromosome has packed inside it, that is DNA along with proteins, that is DNA and proteins. DNA is what? That is deoxyribonucleic acid. Yes, so over here, what do you understand? That is, we all say that inside the nucleus we have our DNA, but where is the actually DNA located? So inside the nucleus, over something like this, inside the cell we have nucleus, inside the nucleus we have nucleolus and the chromatin material. When this chromatin material becomes thickened, yes, when it becomes thickened, it is visualized like something like this, and this is nothing but a chromosome. Yes, do you understand this? Therein, the structure of the chromosome, this center portion is termed to be as centromere. It is termed to be as centromere. Fine. And the whole, it is termed to be as what? The chromosome arms, the upper arm and the lower arm. Now inside this chromosome we have something very interesting, that is something which is coiled, highly coiled inside this chromosome, and that is nothing, when we zoom this, it is nothing but the DNA along with the protein. What do you understand by DNA? That is deoxyribonucleic acid. So, and it is acidic in nature, which is situated, a substance which is acidic in nature and situated in the nucleus, that is deoxyribo. Yes, we will not get into the details. Yes, talking about this DNA has various sections. Yes, various sections which are functional. Yes, there are various sections of this DNA which are functional. Functional as in, they are the ones, there are the functional part, the coding part of the DNA, the one which is actually working for production of the proteins inside our body. This sections, the working sections, the coding sections of our DNA are nothing but termed to be as genes. They are termed to be as genes, and these genes are the ones which are actually responsible for giving us a given height, for giving us the given eye color, given eye shape, various features of our body, such as the weight. Yes, the weight and many other characteristics. That is, these genes are the ones which decides what will come from our parents to us. Yes, the ones which get transferred from our parents, from our mother and our father, that is nothing but the genes. That is nothing but the genes. Do you understand this? So one more time, we shall understand this. That is, the nucleus has chromatin material, which when thickens, it seems to be like threads, but when it becomes thickened, it looks something like this. And inside this chromosome, this is nothing but the chromosome. Inside this chromosome we have DNA, and this DNA looks something like this, which is helical, which is coiled, which is tangled. Yes, this DNA has various sections. There are some sections, the pink one, they are non-coding, they do not code for anything. Yes, they are not playing any part in the process of protein formation. But the ones which are depicted in black, they are the coding sections. They are the coding sections, the part of the DNA which codes for a given protein. Yes, and that is, this protein decides what will be our eye color. Yes, suppose say eye color, what is going to be our height, what is going to be our body color. Yes, do you understand this? So that is, what type of hair are we going to have. So everything inside our body that comes from the parent. What does our parent give us? So our parents gives us the genes, and these genes are responsible for coding of various proteins, and this protein decides either are we going to be like our father or are we going to be like our mother. So that is, are we going to have the hair like that of our mother or that like that of our father. So that is every other and many characteristics are associated with this coding part, and those are termed to be as genes. They are termed to be nothing but the genes. So have you understood why is the nucleus very important? Why it is termed to be as the brain of the cell? Because it has the heredity material, and the heredity material is nothing but the DNA. Yes, so the nucleus has nucleolus and chromatin material. This chromatin material has the heredity material, that is deoxyribonucleic acid. That is deoxyribonucleic acid. Fine, do you understand this? Which this DNA has genes, and these genes are nothing but the heredity material. Heredity material as in our language we term to be it as Varso. Yes, do you understand this? Fine. And we shall for now understand only the functions of the nucleus. That is, it is the controlling center of the cell. All the activities that takes place inside the cell are being guarded by the nucleus. Fine. Then without it, without the nucleus, a cell cannot perform properly. It is the storehouse of genes. Yes, it is the storehouse of what? Genes. Inside the nucleus we have genes, and therefore it is termed to be as the storehouse of the genes. It controls the production of the various proteins which are going to decide many characteristics. These genes are going to code for proteins, and these proteins are going to code for various things. So therefore it is going to control many characteristics of our body. Fine. That is, it also controls that are we going to have free ear or attached ear, then how is going to be our nose, how are going to be our facial features and everything. Fine. It controls the production of the protein, and it regulates the cell cycle or the process of cell division. That is, a cell divides into two. Yes, 2 to 4 and so on, and this information is also being controlled by nothing but a very important organelle, that is the nucleus, because it has what? It has the chromatin material, because the chromatin material has the DNA, that is deoxyribonucleic acid, which codes for various proteins, and this is being coded by the functional part termed to be as the genes. So for now your homework will be this one. Yes, thank you.